For Laval-les-Îles. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm rising today to speak in this House because Bill C-4, that amends the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, contains many elements that make me, quite frankly, very uncomfortable. For example, there is a provision that allows for the detention of a permanent resident or a foreign national on the basis only of suspicions, and I'll say suspicions again, that this individual has been prohibited from entering our territory because of criminal activities or involvement in organized crime. This can lead to several problems and to the abuse of the system from several perspectives, Mr. Speaker. First of all, any refugee who arrives in this country without that status given to them from the Department of Immigration, and we all know that there can be very long delays in this procedure, will probably be detained as soon as they arrive. That runs counter to several international conventions that have been signed by Canada, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to read, Mr. Speaker, Article 31(1) from the Convention on Refugees, the Convention relating to the status of refugees, and it reads as follows. The contracting states shall not impose penalties on account of their illegal entry or presence on refugees who, coming directly from a territory where their life or freedom was threatened in the sense of Article 1, enter or are present in their territory without authorization, provided they present themselves without delay to the authorities and show good cause for their illegal entry or presence. Mr. Speaker, Bill C-4 clearly contravenes that article, and Canada signed that convention. Second, these amendments to the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act will give too much power, discretionary power, to the Minister of Immigration. In fact, Mr. Speaker, these amendments will allow the Minister to proceed with arbitrary detentions. As I mentioned earlier, the government will be able to detain any refugee based simply on the fact that they are suspected, not accused, of criminal activities. The difference between these words is huge, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it allows the government to detain, based on no evidence, a refugee who appears to be suspicious in the eyes of the Minister of Immigration. This is a very slippery slope, Mr. Speaker. Arbitrary detention also runs counter to the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the Supreme Court of Canada has already ruled that mandatory detentions with no review of security certificates had to be overturned. Once again, Mr. Speaker, this amendment to the Act contravenes several international treaties signed by Canada. You know, Mr. Speaker, the government has stated that this bill will lead to a reduction in human smuggling. That is a very noble cause, and no one is against virtue. The reason why we in the New Democratic Party are opposed to Bill C-4 is because, in fact, these amendments will actually concentrate too much power in the hands of the Minister of Immigration, and furthermore, it penalizes all refugees who arrive in Canada. But it doesn't do anything about the smugglers. What we in the NDP want is that criminals be directly punished, traffickers, and those who are commonly called smugglers. Bill C-4, as currently drafted, will punish rather legitimate refugees and those individuals who try to help them. The process outlined in Bill C-4 is vague, arbitrary, and quite frankly discriminatory, Mr. Speaker. I would like to wrap up in saying that the current government, Mr. Speaker, is in the process of destroying the reputation that Canada has internationally and that it enjoys as a welcoming country for newcomers, and that has to stop, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.